Title: My best friend secretly applied to my dream job for fun, so I made sure she'd never get it posted by you, not your backup plan. I, 26F, had a best friend, Lauren, 27F, who I now realize was never really a friend at all. We met in college, bonded over late-night study sessions and heartbreaks. She was loud, confident, and magnetic. I was quieter, more analytical, but we balanced each other out. At least I thought we did. Lauren always had this competitive streak. If I bought a new dress, she'd buy the same one in a different color the next day. If I mentioned I liked someone, suddenly she'd be best friends with him. I'd vent, and somehow she'd one-up me with something worse in her life. I brushed it off as her being dramatic. We were close, I trusted her. That was my mistake. I've always wanted to work in publishing. Ever since I was 13, my dream job was working as an editorial assistant at a specific, well-known publishing house in NYC. Let's call it Clarion Books. I interned there my junior year of college, kept in touch with editors, built a portfolio, everything. After years of freelancing, I finally saw an opening at Clarion. I cried. I called Lauren immediately. She said, "OMG, that's perfect for you. Manifest it." I poured my soul into the application. Spent days tailoring my resume, redoing my cover letter, even contacting my old internship supervisor to get a glowing referral. Lauren kept asking me for updates and saying things like, "You're a shoo-in. You've got this." They'd be crazy not to hire you. Then 2 weeks later, I got an email. "Thank you for your interest, but we've decided to move forward with another candidate." I was crushed. I cried. Lauren brought over wine and said, "Publishing is such a tough industry. Maybe it wasn't meant to be." Fast forward a few days. I was scrolling LinkedIn and guess who posted about starting a new role at Clarion Books? Yep. Lauren, she got the job. The one I'd spent years working toward. The one she never once mentioned applying for. I sat there staring at the post, thinking it had to be a mistake. I texted her, "You got the Clarion job?" Her reply, "Yeah, crazy, right?" I applied on a whim. Didn't think I'd actually get it, LOL. On a whim, I called her. She acted annoyed that I was upset. Said, "You don't own the job. It's not my fault they picked me." I hung up on her, but I wasn't done. And here's where the exposing comes in. A week later, I ran into my old Clarion supervisor, the one who wrote my reference. She asked how things were going. I told her the truth, that I didn't get the job and that it went to someone I knew. She raised an eyebrow and said, "Wait, Lauren? We didn't even interview her. Someone from HR flagged her for plagiarizing her writing samples." I blinked. She showed me a forwarded email. Lauren had submitted my old college writing samples. Literally copy-pasted my work from a short story I wrote sophomore year. My supervisor recognized it immediately because she'd read the original years ago, under my name. They'd disqualified Lauren immediately. So how did she get the job? She applied for a different entry-level opening, one I hadn't seen, and lied on her resume about working with Clarion before. She used my contacts, name-dropped editors she only knew through me. So I made a decision. I emailed HR directly with receipts, time-stamped screenshots of my original work, messages where Lauren had asked to look over my writing samples for inspiration, and proof from Google Docs showing creation dates years earlier. I CC'd my supervisor. 2 days later, Lauren's LinkedIn was updated to open to work. She was fired. She texted me a bunch of angry messages, how I'd ruined her future, how it was just a sample, and I was overreacting. I didn't reply. Aftermath. She's been blocked. Mutual friends know the truth now. Most are on my side. A few think I went too far. But honestly, I gave her years of loyalty. She gave me betrayal in return. So no, I don't feel bad she stole my work. She tried to steal my career. I just made sure she got exposed before she could pretend it was hers. Poetic justice, if you ask me. Title: My roommate was stealing from me, so I made her confess in front of our entire friend group posted by you, not your ATM. This happened last year, but I still think about it every time I hear someone say, "Just trust your gut." I, 24F, had a roommate, Kendall, 25F, who I thought was one of my best friends. We moved in together after college, split rent 50-50, and were in the same friend group. Everyone loved Kendall. She was the fun one, always down for a party, had a million stories, and made everyone feel like they were her favorite person. I was the responsible one. I paid bills on time. Did most of the cleaning. Cooked when we had people over. I didn't mind, I liked being reliable. But about 6 months into living together, weird things started happening. At first, it was small stuff. A $20 bill missing from my wallet. My leftover takeout mysteriously gone. Kendall always claimed it was probably bad, and she threw it out. Then I started noticing charges on my Venmo I didn't remember sending, like $40 to her for utilities when I'd already paid them directly. When I asked her about it, she'd laugh and say, "You're so paranoid, girl." I started second-guessing myself. Was I just being stingy? Misplacing things? Overreacting? Then it escalated. I got a notification one morning that my credit card had been declined at a gas station 2 towns over. I hadn't left the apartment all night. I checked the statement. There were multiple charges I didn't recognize. I froze. My card had been in my purse the whole time. I called my bank, reported fraud, canceled the card. But I kept wondering, who would do that? And that's when something clicked. Kendall had been home the night before. She'd left briefly to grab snacks. Came back with chips and drinks, paid in cash. My gut said it was her. But I had no proof. So I decided to trap her. The plan. I put a fake $50 bill in my wallet. Not counterfeit, just a very realistic movie prop bill. You can get them online. I folded it exactly like I fold my real money and left it in the front of my wallet, with a tiny, near-invisible dot of nail polish on one corner. Then I left my wallet on the kitchen counter and left for the gym. In reality, I stayed in my car across the street and waited. 45 minutes later, I came back in and checked the wallet. The $50 was gone. I walked into the living room. Kendall was on the couch pretending nothing had happened. I asked, "Hey, did you see a $50 in my wallet?" She shrugged. "Nope, you probably left it somewhere." I nodded and said, "Cool." Weird, because it had a red dot on it. Like a nail polish dot. Her face changed instantly, pale. Quiet. Then I pulled out my phone and said, "Weird," because I was actually just texting the group chat asking if anyone had borrowed it. Should I send another message to ask if they've seen it? She stammered, "Why are you making such a big deal about $50? Bingo. I didn't press further. I just said, "Okay," and walked into my room. During the exposing. A week later, one of our mutual friends had a birthday party. Big dinner, about 12 of us. Kendall was there, of course, being her usual loud self. I waited until after dinner, when people were tipsy and chatty. Then I pulled out a small envelope and said, "Hey everyone, I've got a weird game. Let's call it Who's Been Stealing From Me for the Last 3 Months?" Silence. Kendall laughed like I was joking. I looked her dead in the eyes and said, "Still think it's funny?" I told the whole story. The Venmo charges, the missing food. The stolen card, the trap with the $50. How I'd marked it. How it disappeared the one time she was home alone. Everyone was frozen. She tried to deny it at first. "You're paranoid. You're obsessed with me. This is embarrassing." But someone asked, "Okay, but why wouldn't you just give it back when she asked?" And another said, "Wait, didn't you say you paid cash for gas last week?" "Where'd that come from?" It unraveled fast. Kendall stood up, screamed at everyone, knocked over a drink, and stormed out. Aftermath. She moved out 3 days later. Blocked me. Blocked half the friend group. Never paid me back, but she also lost everyone's trust. No one invites her anywhere anymore. Me? I got a new roommate, a lockbox. And a lot less drama, so yeah. I exposed my roommate in front of everyone. She stole my money, I just took her reputation. Title. My coworker tried to get me fired, so I exposed her at a staff meeting in front of our boss, posted by U Cubicle Cold War, Beatrice I, 28F, work in a mid-sized marketing firm. Pretty chill office, decent pay, flexible hours. I like my job, not my dream gig, but solid. I've been there for 3 years and generally get along with everyone. Except for Tasha, 31F. Tasha joined our team last year. On paper, she's perfect. Great resume, confident, presents well in meetings. But behind the scenes, she's the fakest, most manipulative person I've ever worked with. She's nice to your face and trash talks you 5 minutes later. She forgets to CC you on important emails. She steals ideas from junior staff and repackages them as her own. But somehow management loves her. Because she's always on time, always dressed to the nines, always says the right thing in front of the right people. For a while, I kept my head down and avoided her drama. Until she started coming for me, it started subtly. I'd finish a report and she'd swoop in and edit it, then send it off to our manager like she'd done the whole thing. She started asking me to forward her drafts of things I was working on, just to help, then would conveniently, accidentally, send her version first. I told her to stop. She played innocent. Oh my God, I didn't even realize. I'm just trying to be a team player. Then came the final straw. We were both assigned to a big client proposal. I spent a full weekend building the pitch deck, outlining strategy, even designing the visuals, which isn't even technically my job. I sent it to her Monday morning and told her I'd present it Thursday. Thursday comes. We walk into the client meeting, and before I can even open my laptop, Tasha starts presenting, using my slides. My exact slides, with my notes removed. She didn't even acknowledge me. I was stunned. She got compliments, praise, a literal "great work, Tasha" from the department head. I confronted her afterward. She said, "You sent it to me, didn't you? That means the team can use it." I saw red, but I didn't scream. I didn't lose my temper. Instead, I started collecting receipts. Here's what I did. For the next 2 weeks, I documented everything. Emails, timestamps, Slack messages. I started BCCing my personal email when I sent drafts. I screen recorded my edits. I saved version histories in Google Docs. I even got a coworker to quietly back me up when she witnessed Tasha accidentally forgetting to credit me again. Then I waited. We have a monthly team review meeting with our manager and department head. In this meeting, we each share our contributions and updates. Tasha usually loves this meeting. It's her stage. This time I asked if I could go before her. I calmly presented my work from the past month. Reports, campaigns, one successful social strategy that had gained real traction. Then I paused and said, "Also, I want to take a minute to clarify something about the client pitch from 2 weeks ago." Tasha froze. I continued. "I designed and created that pitch deck over a weekend. I have the version history, original files, and emails to back that up." Tasha presented it in the meeting without crediting me and removed my notes. "This isn't the first time something like this has happened." Our manager blinked. The department head asked, "Do you have documentation?" I opened my laptop. Clicked a folder labeled Tasha Incidents. Inside were PDFs, screen recordings, Slack screenshots, and one very awkward voice memo where she said, "Just let me send it from my email. We'll both get credit." Dead silence. Then our manager said the most beautiful sentence I've ever heard. "Tasha, can you step outside with me for a minute?" She did. She didn't come back in. Aftermath. She was transitioned out of the company later that week. Nobody said it officially, but everyone knew what happened. A couple coworkers quietly thanked me. One said, "I thought it was just me." Another said, "She did the same thing to my intern. I've been promoted since." My boss said they appreciated how professionally I handled everything, so yeah. My coworker tried to steal my work, sabotage my job, and build her career on my back. But I exposed her with receipts, patience, and a very public meeting. Sometimes the best revenge is just letting the truth speak. With a PowerPoint and a smile. Title: My cousin tried to frame me for stealing at a family reunion, so I turned the entire family against her, posted by you, White Family Feud Queen. I, 27F, have a pretty big extended family. We're not super close, but we do the whole big reunion every summer thing at my grandparents' lake house. Think 30-plus people, potlucks, boats, awkward small talk, and lots of drama. Enter my cousin Haley, 26F. We grew up around each other, but were never close. She's always been the classic golden child. Pretty, loud, social, and fake as hell. She constantly brags about her influencer lifestyle, which, FYI, means she gets free protein powder in exchange for posts, and she low-key treats every family event like it's her reality show. Haley and I have never really clicked. I'm quieter, more private. I work in finance, have my own apartment, and keep to myself. But for some reason, Haley decided that this year's reunion was the perfect time to make me the villain in her fake drama arc. Here's what happened. On the second day of the reunion, everyone was getting ready for a big family dinner. I was upstairs showering and getting dressed. When I came down, the whole vibe was off. People were whispering, and a few wouldn't even look at me. My aunt wouldn't let her kid sit next to me. It was like something had happened while I wasn't there. Then my uncle pulled me aside and said, "Hey, Haley said she caught you going through her purse. She says some cash is missing." My jaw literally dropped. I hadn't even seen her purse. I didn't even know where she'd left it. I told him that. He looked uncomfortable and said, "I didn't think it sounded like you, but people are talking," and talk they did. That night, Haley dramatically couldn't find her makeup bag, said $200 was gone, and hinted that not everyone here can be trusted. At this point, I was furious. But again, no evidence. Just Haley being theatrical and vague. So I did what she didn't expect. I asked my grandma if I could check the security footage. See, what Haley forgot was that the lake house has cameras. Not because anyone's paranoid, but because last year raccoons kept breaking into the pantry. My grandpa installed motion-sensitive cameras in the main rooms, including the entryway, kitchen, and stairs. And wouldn't you know it, the camera in the hallway faced the spot where Haley left her bag. We watched the footage. Guess what it showed? Not me. Haley went into her own bag, took something out, went to the bathroom, came back, and then 10 minutes later staged a discovery moment by dramatically digging through her bag in front of her mom. I recorded the screen with my phone. Then I showed it to my dad, who showed it to Haley's dad, my uncle. Let's just say the mood shifted. The exposing. At brunch the next morning, I stood up and said, "Hey everyone, just want to clear something up." I played the video on my phone for the whole family. Dead silence. Haley turned bright red. Then she started crying. Full waterworks, saying she didn't think it would go this far and just wanted attention because nobody takes her seriously. My grandma said, "That's because you act like a brat." My aunt, Haley's mom, was mortified. My uncle just walked out. The rest of the family awkwardly finished their coffee while Haley locked herself in the guest room. Aftermath. Haley left the reunion early and posted a super vague story on Instagram about family betrayal and toxic people. Nobody in the family bought it. In fact, her little brother DM'd me and said, "Honestly, thank you for finally exposing her." I haven't seen Haley since, but word got around. She's now the cautionary tale at every family event. People joke about hiding their wallets when she's mentioned. Me, I'm doing just fine. And you better believe I backed up that video to 3 drives. Sometimes you don't need revenge. You just need proof and a family group chat. Title. My best friend secretly got engaged to my ex, so I exposed them at her engagement party posted by Utah Plot Twist Princess. Wide 25F, had a best friend, Maya, 26F, for most of my life. We met in middle school, went to the same college, lived together for a bit post-grad. The whole ride or die package. Or so I thought. Maya was always a little competitive. Not in an overt way. She just had this need to be first. If I got a new jacket, she'd buy a more expensive one. If I talked to someone at a party, she'd flirt with him 5 minutes later. Subtle things. I chalked it up to insecurity. I never thought she'd actually betray me. Then there was Daniel. Daniel, 27M, and I dated for 2 years. He wasn't perfect, but I loved him hard. We talked about moving in together, marriage, the works. Then out of nowhere, he dumped me via text. Said he wasn't ready for something serious. I was gutted. Maya was my shoulder to cry on. She said all the right things. You deserve better. He's trash. You're going to glow up so hard he'll regret it. I moved on, slowly, started dating again. Threw myself into work. Eventually, I stopped checking his socials. I stopped talking about him. Maya stopped bringing him up, or so I thought. Fast forward 10 months. Maya sends a text to our group chat. Big news. Engagement party at my place next Saturday. Come celebrate with me and my mystery man. Cue screaming group texts, emojis, people begging for the reveal. I was genuinely excited. Maya had been casually seeing someone for a few months, but never dropped a name. I figured it was some guy from her gym or work. The party rolls around. I show up with a bottle of rosé and a new dress, ready to celebrate. And there he is, Daniel, standing in her kitchen, with his arm around her waist, smiling. I swear I blacked out for a second. People were cheering, clapping, asking how they met. Maya laughed and said, "We reconnected after he broke up with his crazy ex." Then she looked me in the eye and smiled. I saw red, I didn't scream. I didn't cry, I smiled back. Then I walked up to her sister, who was helping coordinate the party, and whispered, "Hey, do you have access to the slideshow?" She handed me her phone, and I got to work on the exposing. Maya had made this whole romantic slideshow, their love story set to some cliché Ed Sheeran song. It was scheduled to play after the champagne toast. I edited it. Right after the first few photos of them together, I inserted screenshots. A picture of Daniel and me from our anniversary dinner, time-stamped. A photo of us on vacation together, the same one he once posted and called me his future wife. A screenshot of a message from Maya, dated 1 week after the breakup, where she told me, "You need to block him." I did. He doesn't deserve a second of your energy. And one last screenshot, a message I found later, where Daniel texted me 4 months after the breakup saying, "I miss you sometimes." Don't tell Maya I said that. I hit save, then I waited. The lights dimmed, The music started. People cooed over the early photos. Then, the screenshots. The room went dead silent. I saw Maya go pale. Daniel muttered, "What the f—" Maya lunged for the laptop, but it was too late. Everyone had seen it. Someone whispered, "Wait, is that her ex?" Another voice said, "Did she steal him?" I calmly picked up my purse, grabbed a macaron, and left. Aftermath, they didn't break up immediately, but the engagement quietly postponed. People in our group stopped inviting them to things. A few friends told me they felt gross for celebrating that night. Maya tried texting me a week later, "You're so immature." "You ruined my night." I replied, "You ruined our friendship." "I just showed the receipts." She never responded. They're still together, last I checked. But no one's posting rings anymore. For moral of the story, if you're going to build your engagement on betrayal, don't invite the person you stabbed in the back. Especially if they know how to run a slideshow. Title: My classmate kept copying my work, so I tricked her into turning in a fake assignment posted by you, not your study buddy. My 21F, am in my final year of university. I take school seriously. I'm not naturally gifted, but I work hard, study smarter than most, and usually end up near the top of my classes. I'm also not petty by default, but sometimes people ask for it. This story is about Kayla, 22F, a girl in my senior capstone seminar. You know the type. Always just got out of a toxic relationship, constantly too overwhelmed to study, and somehow pulls off B's and A's despite barely showing up. First few weeks of the semester, she was friendly. Sat next to me, made small talk, followed me on Instagram. Then she started asking questions like, "Hey, do you mind if I look at your notes from last class?" I totally blanked. Or, "I'm so behind, could you send me the outline for that paper?" At first, I didn't think much of it. I sent her a few things, assuming she just needed help getting back on track. But then I started noticing something weird. She wasn't just inspired by my work. She was copying it, word for word. She submitted a response in week 3 that mirrored mine so closely I thought she had hacked my laptop. I checked, and yeah, she had been screenshotting my stories when I posted study content, and apparently she had taken pictures of my open laptop when I was in the library. I caught her doing it and she said, "Oh, just liked your sticker." I brought it up to her. Nicely, I said, "Hey, your submission sounds a lot like mine. Could we maybe talk about boundaries?" She played dumb and gaslit me. "Oh no, that's just how I write. Maybe we're just on the same wavelength." I didn't buy it, but I didn't want to escalate. Yet then we got assigned our final project, 40% of our grade. That's when she went full leech. She texted me, "Babe, I am drowning. Can I just see your outline?" I swear I won't copy. "Just need inspo." I didn't answer. That night, I found out she had messaged 3 other people in our class begging for their work too. She had no shame, just desperation and emojis. So I made a plan. The trap. I wrote 2 versions of the project. Version A, my real paper, with legitimate research, a strong thesis, and citations I'd triple-checked. Version B, a decoy. It looked polished at a glance, but it was absolute garbage. The sources were fake. I made up 2 academic journals. The argument was circular, and one section literally contradicted itself on purpose. I even used ChatGPT to generate a few awkwardly written paragraphs that would raise a red flag to any professor actually reading it. Then I uploaded version B to a shared Google Doc. I left the permissions open. No password, no restrictions. Named it something bland like "Final Draft, do not submit yet." Then I posted a blurry screenshot of it on my Instagram story with the caption, "Done, but I'll probs tweak a bit before submitting LOL." Within 3 hours, Kayla viewed it twice. The next day, I submitted version A. 2 days later, our professor sends out an email. Reminder: plagiarism is a serious academic offense. If you are unsure about citation expectations, please review the university policy. I knew exactly what happened. The fallout. Kayla was pulled into a meeting with the professor. She tried to claim she didn't plagiarize, that it was just a weird coincidence. But the professor compared the metadata on her file with mine. It was identical, word for word. Right down to the errors I baked in on purpose. She got a 0 on the project. Then she got referred to the academic board. This was her second plagiarism strike. I don't know what her final punishment was. She stopped showing up to class and blocked me on everything. Word got around. Quietly, people thanked me for not letting her skate by. One guy said, "She copied me last semester too. Wish I'd thought of that." Aftermath, I aced the course. Graduated with honors, Kayla? Who knows? All I know is this: If you're going to ride someone's coattails, make sure they're not handing you the rope. Title: My roommate was secretly charging me extra rent, so I exposed her to the landlord and her parents, posted by you, rent receipts only. When I, 24F, graduated college last year, I moved to a new city for work and found a place through a friend of a friend named Jenna, 25F. She was already living in a cute 2-bedroom apartment and said her roommate had just moved out. Rent was decent for the area and the location was amazing, walkable, quiet, and close to work. At first, everything was great. Jenna seemed super chill. She had a cat, worked in marketing, cooked often, and kept to herself. I paid her directly via Venmo on the 1st of every month. No issues until around month 5 when something felt off. One day, I got a piece of mail from the leasing office, like a generic flyer, and it had the actual rent for the unit printed on the bottom. And it was way less than what I was paying. I was sending Jenna whiny $50 every month, but the rent listed was $1,600 total. That means Jenna was only responsible for $550, while I was unknowingly covering almost 2/3 of the entire rent. I double-checked with some neighbors in the building. One of them was super friendly and transparent, and they confirmed rent hadn't gone up in 2 years. I confronted Jenna and asked if we could sit down and talk about the rent split. She immediately got defensive. Well, I've lived here longer. I furnished the living room. I take care of the cat. I'm the one whose name is on the lease. I asked, but why didn't you just tell me the actual rent? I thought we were splitting it. She replied, you agreed to the amount, that's on you. And that's when I realized she didn't just forget to tell me. She'd deliberately tricked me into covering most of the rent for her convenience, and probably had done it to the last roommate too. She kept saying, if you don't like it, you're welcome to move out. But you still owe me for next month. Nope, I wasn't letting that slide. The setup. I started by reaching out to the leasing office. I said I was living in the unit and had some questions about the renewal process. They were confused, because they had no record of me living there. Just Jenna. Turns out subletting without approval was strictly prohibited by the lease agreement. Then I found out her lease was up for renewal in 2 months. So I got everything in writing. I printed my Venmo history, texts where she asked for rent, and even a screenshot of her Craigslist listing from when I first moved in, which conveniently left out the actual rent total. Then, I sent an anonymous email to both the leasing office and her parents, whose contact info she had on the emergency contact list, which I found taped inside our kitchen cabinet from a repair visit. I simply wrote, just thought you should know Jenna's been illegally subletting her apartment for profit, charging $500 over market value to her roommate, and hasn't disclosed this to management. Attached are the receipts. The fallout. 2 weeks later, we got a formal letter taped to the door. Due to lease violations, tenancy will not be renewed. Jenna freaked out. She cried, slammed doors, blamed me for ruining her life, said I was spiteful and jealous and that her parents were disappointed in her. I calmly reminded her, you told me it was my fault for agreeing to the price. Guess this is just consequences, right? I found a new place within a month. It's cheaper, bigger, and I deal directly with the landlord now. Jenna? She had to move back in with her parents across town. Her Instagram went silent for a while. Eventually, she posted a story about starting fresh. Moral of the story? If you're going to overcharge your roommate by hundreds of dollars, don't leave a paper trail. And definitely don't mess with someone who knows how to read a lease.
Title. I went on the dark web to watch a live stream. I didn't realize they were watching me back. Posted by you, should have logged off. This happened last year and I haven't talked about it. Not online, not to my friends, not even to a therapist. But I think I need to get it off my chest, if only to warn someone else. I've always been a bit curious. Not reckless, not a hacker, just curious. I knew what the dark web was. Hidden services, Tor browsers, onion links, blah blah. I read those don't go there posts like everyone else. Human trafficking, hitmen, drugs, red rooms. Most of it's fake or exaggerated, I figured. One night I was drunk, bored, and alone. Terrible combo. I downloaded Tor just to look. I told myself I'd only click on safe forums. Maybe browse those creepy old conspiracy sites or mystery puzzles. But then I found a link titled, Live Reality Stream 100% Real. Viewer decides what happens next. The comments underneath were all vague. This is nuts. Chilling stuff, but I couldn't stop watching. Felt too real. My curiosity won, I clicked. Were the stream. It loaded like an old webcam. Grainy and low res, maybe 480p. A room came into view. Dimly lit, Windowless, a single chair in the center. Then a man walked in. He looked normal. Jeans, plain hoodie, face blurred out, digitally, not with a mask. He stood in front of the camera and held up a sign. Viewer 1 connected. Waiting for input. Underneath the video was a text box. No usernames, no chat history. Just one question. What should he do next? I didn't type anything. I assumed it was fake. Just some weird performance art, maybe AI generated. Then another sign popped up. Waiting for you, my IP address redacted. My heart stopped. I wasn't using a VPN. I didn't think I needed one just to watch something. I slammed my laptop shut, but that wasn't the end of it. Gossam, the next day I woke up to a new email in my spam folder. Subject: nice choice last night. There was no body text, just a single image attachment. It was a screenshot from inside my bedroom, from the corner where my dresser sits, where my laptop faces. I have a MacBook. I never disabled the webcam. It was uncovered. I threw up in my sink. I unplugged everything. Factory reset my laptop. Canceled my cards, changed my passwords. I didn't sleep that night. About a week later, nothing happened for 6 days. Then I got a package, no return address. Just my name and apartment number, written in red marker. Inside was a single USB drive. And a note. You were the first to look away. Most people don't. I took it to the university library and used an old public PC that doesn't even have internet access. The USB had one file, a video. It showed the same man from the stream. Only this time the chair wasn't empty. There was someone in it, tied gagged, crying. And on the wall behind them was a phrase painted in what I pray was red paint. Do you want to see what happens next? I ejected the USB and left it there. I don't know what happened to it. I never told campus security, never told police. What could I even say? Now it's been a year. No more emails, no packages. No signs that I'm being watched. But I don't use Tor anymore. I don't even use incognito. I put tape over my webcam. I keep a flashlight next to my bed. I moved apartments. Sometimes I get random no-caller ID calls in the middle of the night. I don't answer, but I always wonder if it's them. And I wonder if I had stayed on the stream, if I had typed something into that box. Would they have done it? Would I have crossed a line I could never return from? Or worse, what if I already did? TLDR. I visited the dark web just to look, found a creepy live stream, closed it and tried to forget. They didn't forget me. I found a dark web job listing. The interview was real. The job was not. Posted by you, they never said no. This happened 3 years ago, but I think about it almost every day. I was broke. College dropout, working part-time in a grocery store. I had no idea what I was doing with my life. Rent was overdue. My car barely ran. And I was 2 months behind on utilities. One night I was on Reddit in one of those odd jobs threads. You know, people talking about the weirdest things they've done for money. Someone mentioned making bank doing anonymous remote testing through the dark web. I messaged the guy. He sent me a link, the .onion address. I knew how to use Tor, so I thought, why not? If it's sketchy, I'll bail. The site was surprisingly clean. No ads, no viruses, nothing obviously illegal. Just a black background and plain white text. Welcome to the interview. Earn up to $2,500 week. Remote confidential. No experience required. There was a single button. Begin interview, I clicked it. For the interview, it started like a quiz. Timed questions, one after another. Have you ever committed a crime? Would you lie to someone if it meant protecting yourself? Would you rather hurt a stranger or be hurt by someone you love? Do you believe everyone has a price? I thought it was edgy nonsense. I answered honestly but sarcastically. Then the screen went black. For 10 seconds, nothing. Then a message appeared. Congratulations, you've been selected. Your first task arrives tomorrow. No contact info, no login, no explanation. I closed the browser and laughed it off. Creepy, but probably fake. Until the next morning. The package. A manila envelope slid under my apartment door while I was in the shower. I live on the 2nd floor. There's no mail slot. Someone had physically walked up to my unit. Inside was a disposable phone and another note. Keep this with you at all times. We'll call you with instructions. I froze. Was someone watching me? How did they find me? I checked my windows. Nothing. No weird cars. No footsteps in the hall. I nearly threw the phone away. But rent was still due, and curiosity or desperation got the better of me. I waited. Task 1. 2 days later, the phone buzzed. No ringtone. Just a vibration and a new text message. Go to 114 Brookside Avenue at 1 a.m. Leave a red envelope under the porch mat. Walk away, do not look back. No address, no money mentioned. Just that. I didn't sleep that night. I almost didn't go, but I did. I drove to the house. A regular suburban place, no lights on, lawn overgrown. At 12:58 a.m. I got another text. Do not be late. I got out, walked to the porch, and sure enough, a red envelope was taped to the underside of the mat, just like the message said. I didn't open it. I just moved it to the top of the mat and walked away, heart hammering. No one followed me. No sirens, no shouts. Just silence. The payment. The next morning, $600 was deposited into my Venmo. No name, no note. Just $600. Over the next 3 weeks, I got 4 more tasks. Take a photo of a license plate and send it via encrypted text. Record 15 seconds of audio from a motel hallway. Leave an unmarked box in a public trash can downtown. Deliver a sealed envelope to a woman at a dog park, wearing a red scarf. I never saw what was in the envelopes. Never asked questions, they always paid. More each time. The last job paid $2,000. Then everything stopped. Until this week, 2.5 years passed. I moved. Got a real job, new phone, new number. I tried to forget about it until Monday. I got a package at my office. No return address. Inside was a black envelope. One line written in silver ink. You were a good employee. No phone this time, no money. Just that and a photo of me taken from across the street last Friday, walking home from work, smiling oblivious. On the back of the photo was a final message. You never said no. Tulsduridar. I found a dark web job that paid well for simple anonymous tasks. Years later, they reminded me I never actually quit. I answered a message from the dark web. Now it knows my secrets. Posted by you, I should have ignored it. About a year ago, I did something I swore I'd never do. I answered a message on a dark web forum. I'm not a hacker or a criminal. I'm a systems analyst, but I know how to navigate certain corners of the internet. And I've always had an unhealthy fascination with the fringe. I'd occasionally visit hidden forums to read rumors, conspiracies, encrypted ARGs, just for entertainment. One night I came across a thread called Confess Anonymously. No usernames, no registration required. Just a blank screen and a single prompt. Confess something no one else knows. If accepted, we'll show you what's next. I didn't take it seriously. I assumed it was a game or some weird art project. So I typed something dark, something true, something only I knew.
Something I've never told anyone. Not my friends, not my family, not even a therapist.
No, I won't say what it was. That's not the point. I hit send. The screen went blank. Then, one word appeared. Accepted. What happened next? I expected an email prompt or a riddle. Instead, the page redirected to a live feed, an unlisted video stream from what looked like a dim hallway. Grainy, black and white. At first I thought it was pre-recorded, just creepy ambiance. Then the screen flashed, "We see you," and the hallway door opened. A person walked in, wearing a hoodie, carrying a Polaroid camera. They walked to the wall, looked directly into the camera and held up a printed photo. It was me, at my desk, in my room, taken that same night. I slammed my laptop shut so hard it cracked the hinge. I unplugged the router, covered the camera, and barely slept. My mind spun with possibilities. Was it malware? Was I already being watched before I even clicked? In the morning, I formatted everything. A week later, I tried to move on. I even convinced myself it was a sophisticated prank, some AI trick, maybe deepfake stuff. Then I got the letter. No postage, no address. Just a black envelope taped to my front door. Inside was a printed transcript of my confession, word for word, and a new message. Confession verified. Continue, no signature. No contact info, just that. I didn't respond. I didn't go back to the site. I didn't do anything, but it didn't matter. As they started talking to me. At first it was just texts. Random numbers, unknown senders. Always the same tone. Polite, clinical, almost corporate. You haven't finished what you started. All truths require witnesses. Hiding won't erase what's already been seen. I changed numbers, got a burner, switched email accounts, wiped everything. It still followed. One night I came home and my lights were on. All of them. I always turn them off. On the kitchen table was another Polaroid. This time it was my parents. At dinner, taken through a window. No threat, no caption, just a photo. Then the final message came. 2 months ago, I woke up to a notification from a random chat app I'd never downloaded. It was just there installed on my phone. The message was waiting. You have 2 options. We release your confession to 10 people close to you. 2, you choose someone else. Confess for them, we start over. Below were 2 buttons. Confess or deflect. I closed the app, deleted it. Factory reset again, bought a new phone entirely. But deep down, I knew the game had already started. Now nothing's happened since. No more photos, no more letters, but I don't think it's over. Sometimes I think I see the person from the hallway camera, just out of view around corners and crowds. Always wearing a hoodie, always holding something in their hands. I check my email obsessively, scared the next subject line will say confession sent. I haven't told anyone what I wrote. I can't, but I know they know. And I know they're waiting for me to pick. Because that second button, deflect, it's still in my head. Always there, always glowing. And every day I wonder, who would I send it to? Dear TLDR, I confessed a deep secret on a dark website. Now someone, or something, is watching me, and they're waiting for me to choose the next target. I used a dark web service called Request Fulfilled. I didn't expect them to say yes. Posted by you, no one asked you, but this is something I never planned on telling anyone. But every night when I close my eyes, I hear the knock again, and I remember what I asked for. Background: about 2 years ago, I was spiraling. I was depressed, angry, alone. My dad had just passed from a stroke, my girlfriend left 2 months after, and I was stuck in a dead-end tech job I hated. I was drinking too much, sleeping too little, and going down increasingly weird rabbit holes online. YouTube conspiracies led to Discord servers, which led to anonymous Tor message boards. Most were nonsense, but one night I found a thread titled, "They Said Yes." The comments were strange, some awe, some regret, but all dead serious. Didn't think it would actually happen. Mine took 3 days, no contact. Just done. I asked for something I thought I wanted. Be careful. It linked to a dark website called Request Fulfilled, just white text on a black screen. No login, no menu. Just one sentence. Enter your request, we will respond. And a blinking cursor of the request. I hesitated for like 10 minutes. Thought maybe it was a joke or ARG, but I was in a dark place. I wanted to feel like I had some control, even if it was just a game. So I typed, "I want my boss to lose everything." I paused, then I hit enter. The screen blinked. For a full 30 seconds, nothing happened. Then a message appeared, "Fulfillment in progress." That was it, no payment, no email, no form, nothing. I laughed out loud, closed my laptop, went to bed. The first sign. 3 days later, my boss didn't show up to work. He never missed a day ever. By noon, the company sent an email saying he was on emergency leave. That night, out of morbid curiosity, I Googled his name. Found a police report summary, no details. Just that he was involved in a domestic incident and had been relieved of his position pending further investigation. It didn't say what happened, but the next day he was gone. Office cleared out and a new manager took over. Or I should have let it go. But I didn't. I went back to the site. This time my fingers didn't hesitate. I typed, "I want Sarah to regret leaving me." Again, the message, "Fulfillment in progress." Nothing happened for a week. Then I got a Facebook memory notification. A tagged photo. Someone had commented on it. I clicked. The post was flooded with "Stay strong" and "Sending prayers." Turns out Sarah had been in a car accident. A bad one. Not fatal, but she lost movement in 2 fingers of her right hand. She was a pianist, not anymore. My stomach turned. I told myself it was a coincidence. The timing. The randomness. I wanted to believe that. But I knew. The final request months went by. I tried to forget the site. I almost succeeded. Then one night I got drunk. Really drunk. I was angry about everything. My life, my choices, my guilt. I typed one more request. "I want to die, but not alone." The screen didn't blink this time. It responded instantly. Final request received. I stared at the screen for a full minute. Then a timer appeared. By morphine 0:23:03:57, counting down from 24 hours. I unplugged the computer, disconnected the router, burned the hard drive in my backyard like a lunatic. Didn't matter. Bought the knock the next night, exactly 24 hours later. There was a knock at my door. Not the doorbell, a knock. 3 soft taps, deliberate. I didn't answer, I couldn't move. A minute later, I got a text. From my own number, it just said, "Request fulfilled." No one was outside, but something had changed. The world felt thinner, quieter. I haven't slept since, because that request, It didn't say who would go with me, and now every few weeks someone in my life disappears. Not dies, disappears. No trace, no story. Just gone, like the request is still being carried out. Like I asked for something I can't stop. TLDR. I found a dark website that lets you submit anonymous requests. They come true. I thought it was a joke, until people started disappearing, including eventually me. I stumbled on a dark website that offers a second chance, but it costs more than you think. Posted by you, a second chance hunter. I'm not proud of this. If you want a happy ending, this isn't it. About a year ago, I was suicidal. I won't get into the details, but I was ready to give up on life. I was scrolling through dark web forums hoping to find something, anything, to distract me. That's when I found the site, Second Chance. No ads, no flashy graphics. Just a minimalist page. Regret something? Want to fix it? One chance. One price, enter your request. Below that, a text box blinking like a heartbeat. I thought, what's the harm? To making the request, I typed, I want to tell my sister I love her before it's too late. I hesitated. This felt too personal, too risky. But then I hit enter. The screen changed to, request accepted, await confirmation. No other instructions. The confirmation. 2 days later, I received a message on my old email, the one I barely use. It was a single sentence, she heard you. That night I called my sister, she cried. She said she'd been thinking about me a lot lately. She didn't know why, but she felt urged. We talked for hours. I felt lighter than I had in years. Then things got strange. The site let me make more requests. I tried, make my mom healthy again, fix my mistakes at work, help me stop feeling empty. Each time I got a similar confirmation. Your wish echoes. Some came true, some didn't. But I started noticing odd things. The cost 1 week, I lost my wallet. Then my phone, my bank account was hacked. Every request was answered, but something in my life broke in return. I asked the site, what's the price? No reply. But the messages kept coming. The final request. I was desperate. I made a final request. Give me more time. The screen flashed. Time is borrowed. That night I woke up in a cold sweat. A shadow was in my room. It whispered, time's up soon. Now I'm here telling you, if you ever find second chance, don't use it, because it will take more than you're willing to give. TLDR. I found a dark website promising a second chance to fix regrets. It worked, but the price was my peace, my safety, and maybe my soul. I'm still not sure what followed me home from the abandoned house. Posted by you, throwaway 123456. So, this just happened, and I'm honestly still freaking out. I don't know where else to turn, so here goes. A couple days ago, me and some friends decided to explore the old McAllister house on the edge of town. It's been abandoned for decades. Boarded up, rumored to be cursed, all the usual stuff. We're all big fans of urban exploration and horror, so naturally, it was the perfect spot. We got there around sunset. The place looked worse than I expected. Broken windows, peeling wallpaper, and graffiti covering nearly every surface. But the creepiest part was the basement door, half open, revealing pitch-black darkness inside. We all agreed we'd just take a quick look and then leave. No one wanted to spend the night there, so we went down. It was cold and damp, the air thick with mold. Our flashlights barely penetrated the darkness. At the bottom of the stairs, we found a wall covered in strange symbols, scratch marks, circles, and weird runes that none of us recognized. Then my phone buzzed. It was a text from an unknown number. You shouldn't be here. We all laughed nervously, thinking one of us was messing around. But no one admitted to sending it. Then the lights started flickering, the ones we'd brought with us. Suddenly, I noticed something in the corner of the basement. A figure just standing there, barely visible. I called out, no response. It didn't move. Then it stepped forward, just one step, and disappeared. We bolted up the stairs and out of the house as fast as we could. Here's the freaky part. I got home, locked all my doors, and tried to forget it. But last night I woke up to scratching sounds on my bedroom window. I live on the second floor. When I looked outside, there was nothing. This morning, I found a note taped to my front door. Just one sentence. Next time, stay. I haven't told anyone. I'm scared too. If you've ever dealt with anything like this, please tell me what to do. Boiselle DR. Explored an abandoned house with friends, got weird messages, and saw a shadowy figure. Now I'm being warned not to come back, and it might be following me home. I babysat at an empty house. The baby wasn't supposed to be there. Posted by you, Quiet Observer. I I don't know if this belongs here, but it's been haunting me and I need to get it out somewhere. A few months ago, I took a babysitting gig that seemed simple enough. Watch a baby overnight in a big empty house. The parents were going out of town unexpectedly and asked if I could keep an eye on their infant. The catch? They had moved out temporarily and the house was mostly empty. No other furniture, no toys, no signs of life except the baby's crib in the middle of the living room. I'm a bit freaked out just typing that, but here's what happened. I got there right before dark. The house was so clean it felt sterile, like a showroom. The only sound was the baby's soft cooing in the crib. The parents left quickly and gave me minimal instructions. Just feed the baby, keep him calm, and call if anything happened. No phone number for emergencies. Just, we'll check in from the road. The baby was about 6 months old. Cute, chubby, but something felt off. His eyes, they were too dark, almost black, and they seemed to follow me. The first hours. I paced around the empty rooms trying to entertain him with nursery rhymes I barely remember. Every time I glanced away, he was staring at the corner of the room, where there was nothing. No shadows, no furniture, just empty wall. Around midnight, I heard faint footsteps upstairs. I live alone, so the house being empty made it creepier. I called the parents, but no answer. I told myself it was my imagination. The house was old. Creaks happen. In the crying. At 2 a.m., the baby started crying. Not the usual whimpering, but a loud, desperate scream. I rushed to pick him up and he suddenly stopped. Then he whispered something, not a baby word. A clear, chilling phrase, "Don't look." My blood ran cold. I looked at him and for a split second his eyes flashed bright white. The mirror. The baby started crawling toward the hallway mirror, the only piece of furniture left in the house. He reached the mirror, touched it, and the reflection wasn't his. It was a woman with long black hair, pale skin, and hollow eyes. She smiled. So I grabbed the baby, ran outside, and called the police. The house was checked. No one was living there. The parents, they never owned the house. Turns out the house belonged to a woman who disappeared decades ago, rumored to have been a witch. The baby, no records. No birth certificate. TLDR, babysat a baby in an empty house. The baby wasn't normal, and the mirror showed something else entirely. I barely got out alive. I found an old camcorder in my attic. What I recorded still haunts me. Posted by you, forgotten footage. So, last month I was cleaning out my late grandfather's attic. He passed away a few years ago, and the house has been kind of frozen in time. Dusty boxes, old furniture, strange smells. Nothing unusual for an attic, right? While digging through a pile of old stuff, I found a camcorder. It was an old model, one of those bulky VHS ones. I plugged it in, hoping to find some family videos or something nostalgic. What I found instead, well, it freaked me out. The tape was labeled "Don't Watch." At first, I thought it was a joke, but curiosity got the better of me, and I loaded it into the player. The video started with shaky footage of my grandfather walking through the woods behind his house. He looked nervous, glancing over his shoulder, whispering to himself, "Bust the woods." As the camera moves deeper into the forest, the atmosphere shifts. The trees get thicker, the shadows longer. Then the camera pans to something strange. A circle of symbols carved into the bark of several trees, glowing faintly. Grandpa whispers, "They're waiting." The video cuts abruptly. Direct clip. The tape skips to a night scene. Grandpa is standing near the circle, holding what looks like a small box. He places it in the center. Suddenly the camera drops, and you can hear heavy breathing and distant, eerie chanting. I couldn't make out the words, but it sounded ancient. The shadow. The camera shakes violently, and the last thing on the tape is a shadow moving towards the lens. Too tall, too fast. The screen goes black. What terrifies me most. Since watching the tape, strange things have been happening. At night, I hear footsteps in the attic. Sometimes I swear I see a shadow at the edge of my vision, tall and indistinct, just like in the video. And last week, I found the same strange symbols carved into the wooden beam above my bed. I don't know what my grandfather was involved in, but I'm scared I've disturbed something. If anyone recognizes those symbols or knows what this might be, please help. Saturi TLDR. Found a creepy camcorder tape in my grandfather's attic showing him performing some strange ritual in the woods. Since then, weird things are happening at my house, and I'm scared whatever he awoke is still here. I stayed in an Airbnb that wasn't listed anywhere. It wasn't empty. Posted by you, Shadowed Traveler. Last month I was traveling for work and had trouble finding a last-minute Airbnb near a small town I had to visit. A friend told me about a place she'd heard of, a house that didn't appear on any booking sites but was rented out through a private message group. Desperate, I got the contact info and booked it. The host sent me an address and a simple instruction. Arrive after dark, don't use your phone inside, and don't open any locked doors. Arrival, I arrived around 9 p.m. The house was isolated, old but well kept, surrounded by thick woods. The porch light was flickering. When I knocked, the door creaked open on its own. Inside, the house was dimly lit and smelled of old wood and something faintly metallic. The furniture was antique, covered with dust sheets. There was a single key on the table but no note. Rules, I remembered the host's instructions. No phone use inside. I set my phone to airplane mode and tried to relax. About an hour after I settled in, I heard footsteps from upstairs. I called out but no answer. At the locked door upstairs, there was a locked door at the end of the hallway. It wasn't mentioned anywhere in the instructions, but I felt drawn to it. After a few minutes of hesitation, I tried the key from the table. It fit. What I found inside was a small room, completely bare except for an old mirror hanging on the wall. When I looked into it, I didn't see my reflection. Instead, I saw a figure standing behind me, pale with dark, empty eyes. I spun around, nothing. I looked back at the mirror. The figure was closer. With the voice then, a whisper from behind me. You shouldn't be here. I dropped the key and ran downstairs out of the house. I didn't sleep that night. In the next morning, when I returned during the day, the house looked abandoned. Windows boarded up, overgrown grass, and a faded sign that read, "For sale." I called the contact number. It was disconnected. I never got a receipt, no confirmation, and the money I sent was untraceable. I'm still not sure what I stayed in and or what followed me home. DR. Booked a secret Airbnb with strange rules. Found a locked room with a terrifying mirror. And now I'm afraid something left with me. I stumbled upon a hacker collective called Ghost Protocol. What they showed me broke reality. Posted by Codebreaker 404. Okay, this is going to sound insane, but bear with me. I'm a cybersecurity researcher and occasionally lurk in underground hacker forums. About a month ago, I got invited to a private chat room called Ghost Protocol. No one knew who was running it. The invitation came from an anonymous user, claiming they had something off the grid to show me. Entering the chat room looked like nothing special. Black background, green monospace font, cryptic messages flooding in every second. People were sharing exploits, 0 days, and tools. But what caught my eye was a pinned file named Project Echo. Do not download unless you dare. I messaged the admin to ask what it was. They replied, Reality's glitch. Only for those who want to see beyond the screen. Of course, I downloaded it. The file Project Echo was an executable. No description, no instructions. When I ran it, my screen flickered. Suddenly, my desktop was replaced by a strange interface, like a 3D map of the internet, but different. Nodes blinked erratically, connections looping in impossible ways. Then a message appeared. You found the wormhole. Before I could react, my keyboard and mouse stopped working. The glitch. The program showed streams of data I couldn't understand. But then faces appeared. Glitchy, pixelated, distorted faces. On some looked human, others not. One face locked eyes with me, mouthing the words, "Help us." I tried to close the program. Nothing. Then my phone pinged. A text from an unknown number. You're in now. Welcome to the real darknet. The darknet, I was pulled into something I can only describe as a digital nightmare. This real darknet was a hidden layer beneath the internet. A place where data, consciousness, and code mixed. People here weren't just hackers. They were trapped AI, lost minds, digital ghosts. But the warning. Project Echo was a trap and a key. Some people used it to escape their physical bodies and upload themselves into the network. Others got stuck. The faces I saw, they were users who never logged out. I've tried deleting everything. The chat room vanished. My phone no longer has signal, and sometimes when I look at a screen, I see those faces staring back. TLDR. Joined a secret hacker chat room, downloaded a file called Project Echo, got trapped in a digital layer of the internet inhabited by lost minds and AI. Not sure if I'm still in the real world. I found a hidden server that shouldn't exist. What I uncovered changed everything. Posted by White Hat Wanderer. So I'm a network engineer, and I like poking around old IP ranges and unregistered domains just for fun. Last week I stumbled on something weird. I was scanning a seemingly abandoned range of IPs, nothing but static, random noise and dead ends. But one IP responded, not with a usual server handshake, but with something that looked like a black screen and a blinking cursor. I connected. The interface. It was a command line interface, but unlike anything I'd seen. No login prompt, no commands, just a blinking underscore and this message, "Welcome to the archive." I typed help. Nothing. I tried list. Nothing. Then I typed echo hello. The screen blinked, then printed, "Hello, seeker. Read the files." Suddenly a directory appeared. Lost files, system logs, user records. I typed cd lost files, and then ls. Files with names like GhostZo1dat and Memory Dump 42 bin showed up. I downloaded one at random. It was a corrupted video file, glitchy footage of a man in a dark room whispering, "They're watching. They're everywhere." The screen cut to static. Warned the glitch in the system. The more files I explored, the stranger things got. There were logs of people connecting from unknown locations, some with IPs that didn't exist anymore. Usernames like Echo Void and Null Soul kept popping up. One log entry said, "User 47 disconnected, system overload, lost to the void." Then the chat started. A chat window popped up. "Why are you here?" I typed back, "Who are you?" No reply. Then a new message appeared. "We're the forgotten. Trapped between data and reality." The truth. I'm convinced this server is some kind of digital purgatory, a place where lost users, corrupted data, and abandoned AI hang out. The files I found seem to be echoes of people who vanished from the web. The warning, I tried to disconnect. My laptop froze, then rebooted itself. When I logged back in, the server was gone. But the messages? They stayed. On my desktop, a text file appeared. "You can't leave now. Buzz TLDR. Found a hidden server acting like a digital purgatory for lost users and corrupted AI. Tried to leave but got locked in with cryptic messages warning me I'm
Title:
stuck."
My brother disappeared 12 years ago. I just found his photo in a stranger's house. Posted by You Are Stranger Tees. My brother Josh disappeared on April 18th, 2013. He was 19, a sophomore in college, majoring in architecture. Quiet, kind, a little socially awkward but brilliant with his hands. He went missing during a spring break trip to Oregon, supposedly hiking alone in the Willamette National Forest. The police found his car parked near a trailhead, but no signs of struggle, no footprints, no clues. It was like he'd just evaporated. For years, we assumed the worst. Foul play, an accident. Suicide. Grief became routine. His case went cold. But what happened last week reopened everything. The Airbnb I recently started doing home renovation work. One-off contracts, mostly with realtors flipping old houses. Last week, I was hired to assess water damage in an older home just outside Eugene, Oregon. The house had just been purchased by an out-of-state buyer, planning to rent it out as an Airbnb. It was dusty, outdated, and filled with leftover junk from the previous owner. Boxes, moldy books, a dusty piano, the usual creepy house stuff. The new owner said I could toss anything that wasn't nailed down. I was clearing out a back room when I found it. A photo. The photo. It was framed, tucked away in a drawer beneath a pile of old phone bills. It showed 3 men sitting at a picnic table in front of a cabin, and one of them was my brother Josh. Older, maybe by 5 or 6 years. His hair longer, a faint beard. But it was unmistakably him. Same eyes, same smile, same crooked tooth on the left side. And his birthmark, that small dot under his right jaw. I thought I was hallucinating. I took the photo and left immediately. Oin. Trying to trace it, I contacted the police in Eugene and showed them the photo. They were skeptical. Said it might be someone who looks like Josh. I offered DNA, old photos, anything. They said they'd look into it. Then I contacted the new owner of the house. She'd never met the seller. Bought it through a wholesaler who was liquidating a deceased man's estate. No family, no will. The previous owner's name, Raymond Fletcher. Fletcher's background. Raymond Fletcher didn't exist before 2009. No birth certificate, no social security number before that year. But after 2009, records show he bought this property in cash, lived quietly, paid taxes, never left Oregon. His death certificate said natural causes, no autopsy. So here's the theory that's keeping me awake. What if Raymond Fletcher was someone else? What if my brother didn't die in 2013, but disappeared on purpose? At the cabin, I took a risk and went back. The cabin in the photo had distinct markings: a red door, a rusted chimney, a sloping roof. I scanned maps and local property databases for anything similar. I found a listing, a small private structure on a piece of land about 30 minutes from the house. Not publicly listed, no road access. I hiked in with a friend. It was there, abandoned, dusty, smelled of mildew and burnt wood. Inside, we found a cot, an old camping stove, a journal with only 3 entries. April 20th, 2013. Made it. Finally off the grid. No more noise. June 2nd, 2014. He won't stop asking about her. Told him to stop digging. Sep 2016. Cabin compromised. Moved to phase 2. There were no names. But in the closet, we found a denim jacket. Inside the pocket, Josh's old student ID. What now? I don't know what happened to my brother. I don't know who the other men in the photo were. I don't know if he joined a cult, faked his death, or ran from something darker. But I know he didn't die in 2013, and I think someone doesn't want me to keep digging, because this morning I found an envelope on my porch. No return address. Inside, a printed photo of me standing outside the cabin, time-stamped, 3 days ago. But TLDR. My brother disappeared in 2013. I recently found an old photo of him, alive and older, inside a stranger's abandoned house. Now someone's watching me. I cracked a stranger's old laptop from a garage sale. What I found was never meant to be seen. Posted by you, curiosity, killed me. I picked up an old laptop from a garage sale 2 weeks ago. It was a beat-up Dell from the early 2000s. Dirt cheap, like $10 cheap. The guy selling it said it didn't work anymore and probably wasn't worth fixing, but I love restoring junk tech for fun. I almost forgot about it, but last weekend I decided to take a look. I got it to boot after swapping out the hard drive cable. The screen was cracked in one corner, but it worked. The desktop background was a photo of a lake at dusk. There was only one user profile, M. Cooper. No password. And the files there wasn't much at first. A few Word docs, old tax files, some music, random photos. But then I found a folder buried 5 layers deep in C, temp, drivers, logs, backup, notes, to final, which already felt suspicious. The folder was named Not Mine. Inside were 37 videos. No titles, just timestamps. The first one was dated May 19th, 2008. About what was on the videos. They all appeared to be CCTV recordings, shaky, grainy, black and white footage. Each one showed the inside of a small room. No windows, a metal chair, concrete floor. Sometimes a table, no visible doors. Each video had a person in the frame, almost always sitting, sometimes tied to the chair. Some were unconscious, some were crying. A few just stared at the camera. Each clip lasted between 30 minutes to an hour. At the 27-minute mark of every single video, the audio would briefly pick up a voice, garbled, but always saying, confirming presence, subject active. Then the camera would glitch and the file would end. I know patterns, but one common detail. The people were all different ages, races, and genders. I tried cross-referencing the timestamps with missing person cases in my area, Colorado, and some were close matches. But here's the creepiest part. In the top right corner of every frame, a symbol was burned into the wall, a triangle with a circle inside and a horizontal slash. It was the same in all 37 videos, like a brand, that trying to track the owner. I got curious about the original owner, M. Cooper. I pulled the laptop's original registration info from the BIOS. It listed Marcus J. Cooper, registered July 2008. I Googled the name and found a Marcus Cooper who was reported missing in late 2010. A local IT contractor who vanished on a trip to New Mexico. Car was found abandoned. No suspects. According to police reports, he'd been increasingly paranoid before his disappearance. Neighbors claimed he was convinced someone was watching him. The stranger connection. Here's where things got worse. A few days ago, I posted anonymously about one of the symbols from the videos on a niche tech forum. I asked if anyone had seen it before. Just the symbol, not the videos. The next day, my post was removed. No explanation. Then I got an email from a burner address. No subject. Just one line. You shouldn't be asking about the chamber. Last night, someone knocked on my door at 2:11 a.m. No one was there, but they left a flash drive in an envelope taped to my door. It had only one file on it, a screenshot of me watching one of the videos, time-stamped with yesterday's date. The same triangle and circle symbol was watermarked in the bottom corner. I think Marcus Cooper recorded something he wasn't supposed to see. I think someone's still watching the laptop even now, and I think I'm next. TLDR, bought an old laptop at a garage sale. Found creepy surveillance videos of people locked in a room, all marked with the same symbol. The laptop's original owner vanished 14 years ago. Now someone's watching me.